Yeah, let's get right into it. Phil Jackson versus Carmelo Anthony. Totally random, outdated, but Phil Jackson wants to feel relevant again. Zen Master Ho. Steve Bondi from the New York Times, he quotes Phil Jackson's book as Phil Jackson saying his relationship with the then Knicks star Carmelo Anthony was kind of busted, and said that if Carmelo Anthony was going to be here, it's probably best that he goes. Also, in the book, Phil Jackson recalls a meeting he had with Knicks owner James Dolan. I don't want Carmelo back on the team. We've got to find a way to trade him. Let's sit with his agent, Leon Rose, and explain we're not going to win a championship. Carmelo wants to win a championship. He wants to be on a team that has a chance, and he should be. He's a Hall of Famer. Well, it's been a long time since then. Carmelo has moved on. He's highlighted, decorating his whole media career, and he's still relevant. But it's not like it stops there. So Phil Jackson's basically blamed Carmelo Anthony for having a losing culture and a losing tenure over there in New York, over here in New York City. Phil Jackson and Carmelo Anthony responded. Let's see what he had to say.
I was bugged out, man. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing here? As a man, if I was that much of a hindrance to you, why didn't you have a conversation with me when I was there? Instead of bringing me in the office, showing me Michael Jordan clips
shit
of the triangle and telling me what not to do in the triangle because he did it wrong. This that he told me. Instead of doing that, let's just have a real man conversation. Melo, listen, I want to go in a different direction. We had a poorly structured teams, rosters those years. And you was at the helm of that. Nobody told you who to go get. You had this vision of wanting to play in a certain type of system, which is the triangle, which I love the triangle offense. At the time, it didn't fit the style of the NBA. We was a laughing stock of the NBA for being in the triangle. And I had to fight that. And I had to take those bullets. Not you, Phil Jackson. While I'm taking those bullets, you are in the stands tweeting, talking about Melo breaking the triangle.
That was crazy.
You
I
get what
remember
I'm
when
saying?
Phil
Like,
was on Twitter,
this is
too.
the that I had to do.
Yeah.
I never spoke on him. I never spoke about him. I had probably 3 conversations with the band his whole tenure.
Really?
Man, we didn't have a relationship. So if I was that much of a hindrance to you, should have came to me and said it.
Oh, got the gist of what you said, Melo. Not for nothing. That feels like ancient history. The coach, the general manager not talking to the star player. We have the complete opposite thing here going on, AllBall. The general manager and star player are nephew and uncle, damn near. What do you think about what Carmelo Anthony had to say about Phil Jackson being a prick, to be honest with you?
I love Phil Jackson, the coach. I do not like Phil Jackson, the person. He just seems like a bad guy. He just seems like a guy that's stuck in the 60s.
Yeah.
He always has something negative to say about, the culture, what we as people represent today. And I just think, Phil Jackson is low key the P word. I'm just being honest with you. I don't want to say that up here because I don't want us to get flagged and none of that, but I'm starting to feel like that. What he said about Braun and them, he just always has something negative to say. But when it comes to the Knicks, because this is Knicks Rehab, Phil Jackson tried to sink the ship on purpose. The moves he made, the picks he made, the coach he hired, what Phil Jackson tried to do to us, which he did, he set us back 10 years purposely. So for me, Phil Jackson has to understand you had Kobe and Mike. You're never gonna coach again. So let's get to that. You as a GM, you're never gonna have another Kobe and Mike. So whether it's Melo, no matter who it is, as great as these players are, yeah, we understand the triangle. But you had Mike and Kobe. You got to let that go. So it's just sad that a coach who I think is the greatest coach of all time, and we can argue that another time, but a basketball mind like that wastes his time downplaying and disrespecting great players instead of giving them some knowledge in some basketball knowledge and IQ and helping them advance their game. I just think Phil Jackson's just a bad person. I'm just being honest. I don't like Phil Jackson. I don't like how he walk. I don't like how he looks. Like I said, coaching, I stop right there. But for some reason, he has nothing good to say about anybody. So for me, Carmelo Anthony, the way he responded was kind of grown manish. He didn't go too crazy. And it's just crazy that I'm the franchise player and I only spoke to you 3 times. That's insane. That's insane. So it just goes to show you Phil Jackson don't like us, man. That's the icing on the cake. Yeah, I'm going there. And y'all lucky I ain't got no real money and our platform ain't where it's supposed to be. Because Lord have mercy. I'll tell her how it is. Phil Jackson don't like us, Flea. Straight up and down. I think a lot of these guys is mad that, we've been taking this thing over since when? And they wanted to be something and they wanted to be a time that is never going to happen. So I just think Phil Jackson is a mean and a bad person. And I'm just glad that he's out of the game of basketball. He should never, ever be a GM, a coach, a consigliere, nothing. He should have nothing to do with basketball. No, seriously. Because all he's going to do is be disrespectful. So big shout out Melo for answering it the proper way and not being ignorant and going on a rant and trying to go viral. That's what I like to say. I'm glad Melo ain't trying to go viral because somebody else would have took an opportunity to try to get views and numbers, and it's like, for what? So, but I like how Melo responded, but I think Phil Jackson is P against our people, straight up.
Fleet, I want to add some more context. It's not the first time Carmelo spoke on Phil Jackson. Back in 2023, Carmelo Anthony said about Phil Jackson, he was definitely on his zen. We ain't pay him no mind, but when you start the back door ish, now you lose respect. His co-host Mero said, I knew something was up when he did the LeBron and his posse thing. I ain't heard that word since Mario Van Peebles. Melo said, he put me in a effed up situation, or effed up position. Mero said he was sleeping at practice. Jadakiss said was there. I think I read somewhere he only wanted to coach home games. And Melo responded, like, what you mean you only want to coach home games? Like, what you come here for? We threw you the keys. You want to make it seem like there's a distance between me and you. So you give everybody else the love. Maybe I'm thinking I'm going to feel a certain type of way about it. I think he also touched on, he put him in a bad situation with the LeBron thing, basically, Fleet. So there's a lot to this. This is back-to-back coaches. Carmelo had a bad deal with George Karl. He didn't want to go through this again in New York with Phil Jackson.
Nigga said Phil Jackson from Staten Island. Y'all niggas know what that means.
and that ain't where Wu-Tang is from.
Yo, that's funny.
Stapleton.
Yo, man, whoever that said that in No Strange, right? That's a fact. That's how you say that. I wasn't gonna go in that direction. That whole era, right? The expectation for me, if I think back on it, was me hoping at one point he decided to come down and just coach, right? Because that's where he excelled. I don't think he excelled at being a front office guy. I don't think he excelled at putting together teams. I don't think he excelled. He wasn't an X and O's guy either. If we keep it in a buck, like he excelled at different aspects of what it takes to be a coach. So that was just my whole disappointment. I don't really think that his opinion from a executive standpoint means anything. Melo was given a raw deal after that run, and Mike Woodson was put out the door. In that direction, we started going when we drafted Porzingis, and then we started drafting a lot of bullshit, right? Like that's the result of Phil Jackson. So it was a clear slap in the face saying, you're not really part of our future. You're not really part of what we're trying to do, or at least what I'm trying to do, speaking as Phil Jackson. So he did a lot of bullshit. I remember the Frank Nicotines, and I remember the Kevin Knox, and I remember,
Frank Frank Ntilikina was a lottery pick, bro.
8th pick.
He hired
8th
Derek
pick.
Fisher as a coach, bro.
So you know what I'm saying? Like with all those kinds of doings, I would have just hoped that he would have come down and sat his ass on the bench and at least coached. That would have been like, I respect it now. But I don't respect it when you sat your ass up there and did an awful job. Like when I mean awful, that was a master class in how to fuck some shit up.
He purposely did that, bro.
That was a master class. I was like, wow. He just kept going to the next level too. You strike like because I'm saying, like, here's the thing. You go strike out on Steve Kerr. Now, we don't even know what type of coach Steve Kerr was at that moment, right? Steve Kerr was an executive. He was a nigga on TV.
Hold on,
we don't know what Steve Kerr.
Forgot. We had Jeff Hornacek as a coach too. Thank you in the chat.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Yes,
Flea. I'm sorry.
But that's what I'm saying. You strike out on Steve Kerr. Think about this, y'all. You strike out on Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr says, fuck it, I'm going to go coach Steph. And you hire Derek Fisher. Nah. No. So I felt super bad for Melo at that time. If we talking about that time, that's a tough time to be a Knicks fan. But yeah, that was a tough time. A bad spot to put Melo in. And he tried to play through it too. There's another All-Star year in there. There's another year where he's trying to bring Kristaps Porzingis along. Kristaps is a rookie. At one point, he's trying to mentor him and try to bring him along, right? So he did the professional thing, right? He never dogged it. When he was out there, he was out there. So, I mean, he got a real raw deal, when dude walked through the door.
I think Melo has his flaws as a player. I think he's, a bit of a black hole or whatever, but I just never heard of anybody disliking Carmelo Anthony. And Phil Jackson's always getting into it with one of his players. And he's just lucky that Michael Jordan, he helped Michael Jordan that way. I don't know how Michael Jordan would have looked at him had he been in, Kobe's position. I always say that. I don't know what Mike would have been if he had to be alongside Shaq, little brother coming up. And you got to deal with Phil Jackson telling you to, like, hold it back. Like, who are you talking about? This guy's mad fat. Like, I'm coming out here busting everybody's ass. Who are you talking to like that? Flea said it yesterday, like how much of a ahead of his time Kobe was. And it was like, maybe it was the time was different, but of course it's different when you got that guy around. I think there is a lot of, racism to Phil Jackson. Like, there's just the fact I was going to give him props for getting Porzingis. But now that I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. He drafted Porzingis. But I like the Hornacek deal, to be honest with you, because at least there was proof in Hornacek in Phoenix when he had the three, point guard lineup. But the other guys were just like, what? And the way he handled Carmelo Anthony at the end of the day was going to be a legend, a basketball legend. You were nowhere near Carmelo Anthony as a player. You might have been jealous, just like George Karl. That's why I kind of shit on Phil Jackson. I don't think he's great, but he also had Tex Winner. There was things to him that were like, all right, I don't want to take anything away from him. But, that's why I don't like when you go at Pop like that or Ball, because it's like you got all the smoke for him, but this dude has the greatest players ever. All of them. Top 10. He has 4 of them. That's insane. I'm not giving him that much props. You talk about Pop, there's only one guy. Belichick is only one guy. Phil Jackson got away with a lot of bull.
Pop is only one guy. What are you talking about?
He only has one. He only has one. David Robinson ain't no top 10 player of all time. Tim Duncan's a top 10 player all time. Phil Jackson had 4 of them, bro.
Is David Robinson top 10 centers of all time?
Top 10 centers
of all? Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So is Ginobili one of the greatest 6 men to ever play the game?
He's not a top 10 nothing. Like Phil Jackson had better players under his career than it's not even close. I'm just saying that's the reason why that's the reason why he gets away. He never coached these bum teams after he got in the league.
After Mike, Kobe, and Shaq, I'm the only one that gives Scotty props. After Mike, Kobe, and Shaq, give me all the great guys. Ron Harper and them guys.
Scotty, whether you think people give Scottie Pippen props or not, he's still top 50. He was still on the top 50 list. He's still like, it's still Scottie Pippen for for sure.
And Pop had David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Sean Elliott. So let's not act like
He also coached the
top
team.
liver.
He also coached the team when it went from championship to bust to bums, and he went and tanked with the Spurs, and he played when they were bad. Phil Jackson never did that. He did it for one season when he came back, and they begged him to come back because they knew they had to go trade Kobe for whatever it was. He wasn't doing that.
You heard what Melo said. Melo said he don't play with bad teams. He doesn't coach bad teams.
Oh,
that's
interesting.
What Melo said in that sit down. He said, "Well, y'all know he wasn't going to come down because he don't coach bad teams."
Oh, what a coincidence! I didn't even hear that part. So
yeah, he said
right in order, because that's the kind of guy he is. He wants to be the Zen master.
I'm listening. Thank you, Jeremy's house. Pop had Kawhi Leonard too. All I'm saying is, don't act like Pop had chopped liver and Phil Jackson. Pop had some great players as well. Come on now.
Right, but it's again that he ran the Spurs with RJ Buford. Phil Jackson did not run Chicago. He did not run the Lakers.
No,
he had legendary help throughout both organizations. Pop is the lead. So that's what I'm saying. Phil Jackson acted like he was in charge of the whole thing. No, you turned your back on Jerry Krause. There's a lot of he's a sneaky individual is my point. I don't fuck with Phil Jackson. I think there's a lot of bullshit to him.
But that's why I said the coach I can deal with. The human being, keep him the fuck away from me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to see him. I like nothing about Phil Jackson, the person. Like I said, the coach, for me, I can't argue when a person has 3 3-peats. That has never been done. I don't care who he had on his team. He 3-peated 3 times. So, I mean, we can have that discussion, greatest coaches of all time, but y'all both make great arguments. Phil Jackson's a piece of shit, man. Let's just call it what it is, man. Sorry. Just a bad human being. I'm sorry. He looks like, you know how you can look like a bad human being? He looks like he don't like nothing about people, bro. I'm sorry. He just does. He has a whole mannerism that. So it's not surprising to me. Just like the other coach. What's the coach that was in Denver?
George Karl.
Bro, you could look at him and go, yeah, he don't like us. Like, you could look at him. He ain't got to talk. He's right.
Flea, what I always say, I hate George, overrated. Phil Jackson, overrated.
Knicks Rehab.